I kind of knew that there was a way for me to do comedy, but I didn't know exactly. I didn't know exactly how to get started. But I knew I was going to be a comedian. I just didn't know that when God came to me and said, "You're going to be a comic," He also said that to 237,000 other people.
Dystopia Tonight. Dystopia Tonight.
Hey.
Hi. How are you?
What's going on? That was a perfect sitcom turn and smile, by the way. You were just like,
right?
I was reaching for my chapsticks. I didn't want my lips to be chafed.
Understandable.
There you go.
We are a windy show. I understand. It gets a bit brisk. How you doing, man?
Hi guys. How are you?
Good, man. Good. Doing well.
Love the Dry Bar special, by the way. That is really, I'm so glad that you did that, dude, because it's so funny, man.
You know, I was very excited to do that. When I first got to Utah, it was during Black History Month, and I'm walking down the street, and the first thing I notice is that, you know, there's very few Black people there, but everybody is like super friendly.
Yeah.
At one point, I had to go from the taping back to the hotel, and there were a group of millenniums standing outside this hotel, and it was a gang of kids. And first, I thought to myself, I'm going to walk around them, but then I said, no, I'm a comedian. I'm here doing a special. I'm going to walk through the crowd.
Nice. Yeah.
And as I walked through the crowd, they just broke into applause for no reason. Like, yeah.
Wow.
So after I turned around and said, thank you. Thank you. When I got on stage that night, I told the audience, you guys have a really weird way of celebrating Black History Month, don't you?
Oh my God, that's fantastic. Yeah. Is that it? Do they do it? Because I've never, what is it? It's in Utah, right?
It's in Provo, Utah. Yeah.
Yeah. I know Utah is super white, but is that how, like, do they just have one of you a year and then they're like, we've done our job?
Oh, no. They have no color barrier at all. I mean, they're very diverse.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. They have a, all you have to do is be good.
That's great.
Almost good in my case.
Oh, I love, you know, what I was going to say, the last time we worked together was like 7 years ago, and you were incredibly nice to me. As you're not, I feel like you're nice to all young comics, by the way.
No,
I've never heard.
No,
you're not.
No. You have to put out a certain amount, a certain kind of energy and I because I read energy, I know right away if I'm compatible with you or not. And I watched your act, and I don't remember too much of it right now, but I do remember the energy, and it was very comfortable. You were comfortable to be around.
Thank you.
And I promote that. If the comfortable people are so hard to find in this day and age, when you find one, you hold on to it.
Oh, that was very nice, man. Because we bonded on that show. We had a blast together, and you were like, "Do you go into New York?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm in the city." And I think I was coming up like at a certain date, and you were like, "Well, let me know." And I was like, "Okay." And then I was going into Gotham, and I texted you, and I'm like, "Hey, man, you told me to let you know when I was going to be in the city. I'm going to be at Gotham," and you showed up, which I thought was really fucking nice, man.
Well, I don't normally hang out. I used to. I love to hang out, but something happened. I was with Rich Bini 3 weeks before he passed away, and we were hanging out at the Gotham, and we went up to stand up New York. And we went to Caroline's, you know, I'm just driving him around. And then after he passed away, life just got busy. Life just changed, you know. It's hard to explain. I miss hanging out, but it's changed.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's changed.
Was Rich your buddy when you guys were starting out? When he started out?
Yeah. We kind of started out together in Richard M. Dixon's Night House and Pips in Brooklyn, and
wow.
All those clubs that back in the day when you could tell a police officer I'm a comedian, he would give you an escort to the club.
Oh, nice. That's great. Wow. And now you just don't say anything to police. You just keep your head down. you walk by.
No, actually, I love if ever there's a situation and like it's an energy thing. I've had a couple of times when police have pulled me over. And the first thing I do is tell them, hey, I know you're working. I know you're doing your job. How can I help you?
Yeah.
How can I help you do your job? Because, I'm not a threat, but you need to get on with your life. So what do you need?
Right. Yeah. That's a good way to approach it. I do find that I've gotten pulled over surprisingly. But if I'm on my way to a gig and I do say I'm a comedian, they do lighten up. I don't know what it is. I don't know why.
Hey man, boy, there was a time I was in Buffalo, New York, and we had to do a show at the Comics Cafe, and then we had to go over to a theater and open up the midnight show, which was like Three Stooges reels. And they gave me the directions, but this was before GPS. This was before GPS. So the guy gave me the directions, and the show that I was at started late. So I'm getting to the club late, and I can't, I'm driving, I'm trying to read, I'm speeding, and I passed this New York State trooper, and I'm going like 90 down this 2-lane highway, and he throws on his lights, and when I see that, I slam on my brakes and put it in reverse, and I back up to him, and he before he could get out of the car, I said, "Listen, I'm a comedian. I have to be at the Riviera Theater in like 12 minutes, and I have no idea where I am." He just said, "Follow me," and he turned around and gave me a police escort to the theater.
Wow.
And when I got there, I said, "There's no place to park." He said, "Put it in front of that hydrant."
Oh my God. Wow. That's about great. Different times, man. That's incredible.
Different times. Yeah. I mean, my show was horrible, but boy, the escort was great.
What if he stayed to watch the show and then he was like, I think this guy lied to me about being a comedian to get out of that ticket. I don't even think he was lucky there was an audience here. I don't even know what the fuck's going on. That's crazy. So I want to go back. You were talking about you were with Pips at Rich Jenny and stuff like that. Was he part of the crew? Like, who was your crew that you were coming up with at the time?
At the time, it was me, Steve-O, Richie Bini, Jim Myers, Joe Starr.
Nice, very nice.
Rob Bartlett was there. Bob Nelson.
Oh wow.
Jackie Martling.
Wow.
It was a cluster of us. I'm leaving out a couple of very important people because they're not coming to mind. But everybody that we had association with back then, it was pure, it was innocent, and it was it was just a way of life. It was just a way of life.
Yeah. I was talking to Tom Dreesen was on the show not too long ago, and we were talking about how he was great, man. But he was talking about the bond being different when you guys kind of started versus when my generation kind of came up, because we have all this social media, we're connected with people across the country, but when you guys are comedians and you started back then, and I'm sure you felt the same way, it was like you're all you guys had. You know what I mean? Like there's no outside connection. If you did comedy, that was your world, and you hung out at diners and road gigs and drove cars and shit.
When I first started, I didn't even know I had to keep a calendar. I used to just keep everything. No, I'm serious. I used to just kekeep everything in my head. And then a couple of guys got upset with me because I was supposed to be at a show and I wasn't there. And I forget who I told it to, but I told one of my buddies, like, I just missed a gig tonight because I was double booked. He goes, how can you be double booked when you have a calendar? I said, who has a calendar? He goes, duh.
Were you like, because we had, when I started, we had bringer shows and that kind of dumb shit though. What was your audition process like? Like, what was the first club you kind of, did you audition for a club, or did you kind of just have 5 minutes and and nailed it right away?
Okay, I started in Boston in 1974, giving my age away.
Wow, very nice.
And I walked into a club called Lane's Lounge on Blue Hill Avenue.
Okay.
And I said, listen, I'm a comedian. I'd like to perform for your guests tonight. If you like what I do, give me $50. If you don't like what I do, you don't have to worry about seeing me anymore. And the guy was like, I'm not going to give you 50, I'll give you 25. And that was the beginning of my career. Me saying okay and taking less money for the rest of my life. So
that was great. That was good. I walked. That was fucking hilarious. That's cool though, because you bet on yourself. You know what I mean? Like you didn't have to. You didn't make a tape. You know what I mean? Like you didn't try to sell yourself any other way. I've been going, listen, if I'm good, pay me. If I'm not, forget about it.
Yeah. You know, the thing is, I don't know what my material was back then, but you know, I had done like maybe 3 or 4 shows, and they were talent shows, and I came in second place, so I figured I had something good. Nice. But what I didn't know was how to make the material different for every situation. Like, you know, you can tell the same jokes in one situation, and it gets a certain amount of appreciation. Then you do it in another situation, and it gets less or more depending upon the energy. Well, I didn't know anything about energy back then.
Right.
So I walked on. First of all, the show was supposed to start at 8 o'clock. And I told everybody to be there at 8 o'clock. And everybody showed up at 8 o'clock, but they didn't put me on until 10:30. They wanted to sell drinks first.
Right.
So while they're selling drinks, my mom and my dad, they showed up to support their son. And during the course of waiting for me to go on, well, they practically brought out the whole bar. So by the time I get on stage, my mom and my dad are drunk. I had an image issue because I didn't know what I was supposed to look like on stage, but I had this huge afro.
Wow.
And I figured I would dye it red, and I would put like auburn eyeshadow on my eyebrows and on my mustache, and I had a red and black baseball jacket, a red cardigan turtleneck. This is in July.
Wow.
I had some black bell-bottom pants and red and black tiger stripe platform shoes.
Oh my God.
I wish we had the picture from
I was just about to ask, is there a picture of this?
No, but there's images burned in everybody's mind who saw me. At 10:30, I walked on stage. My mom like reared up and goes, "Fire!"
Oh my God, that's amazing.
And I just remember trying to go through my act and deal with the audience, deal with the situation. That was my first time ever learning how to deal with the situation because things didn't go as I planned.
Right.
They definitely didn't go as I planned. Yeah. And I don't know if I was funny or not, but I got paid.
Oh, that's
nice.
You just summed up 90% of a comedian's career, though.
Well, that's the way we began, man.
Yeah. No, I know. Well, you know what's cool about it, though, too, is I really envy, like, starting then and not having to tape every fucking set that you do and did and like toss it up, because it's funny, like I'll watch comedians now and like I have no choice, they're on my Instagram reel every 5 seconds, somebody's posting something, but they don't post it with laughter in the background. They don't even care if they're getting a laugh because it's just about getting those reels out there and being seen and having the illusion of having material. It doesn't even matter anymore. It's weird.
Wow. No, man. Everybody lived for the videotape, to have a good videotape to send around, just 5 minutes to send around, and a good 5 minutes in front of an audience. You know, that was pretty much your ticket in. You wouldn't have to audition if you had a good videotape.
Right.
I liked auditioning because I didn't like playing rooms blindly.
Okay.
I didn't like to. It took me a while to. Even in the beginning, when I first became a headliner, I would go to the club and get familiar with the room before the audience was there.
Nice. Smart.
Because I wanted to have a sense of comfortability before I started the show.
Was did you like seek a manager out right away? Because what was your trajectory to headliner? Like, how long did it take you? Uh-oh. Oh, it's always good.
I'm not going to mention any names.
Okay.
But
this is the show where you can mention names, though. I don't know if you've seen it before.
I know, but I have this thing called karma.
There you go.
All right. That's fair.
So in the beginning, I thought I needed management, and I didn't. And this guy came up to me and told me, "Hey, listen, I can get you gigs." I was a regular Catch a Rising Star and the Improv.
Oh, nice.
And this guy came up to me and said he'd like to work with me. And I said, okay. And in the beginning, it was fun. But as my career grew, as our association grew, I started finding things in our relationship that, weren't correct.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I give an example. I did a show with the Temps and the Four Tops on Broadway.
Oh, wow.
And I was supposed to get a certain amount of money, and instead of getting that certain amount of money, they gave me more because I found out that he negotiated for more but didn't tell me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So when it came time to get paid, he wasn't there, and they said, "Who do I make the check out to?" And I said, "How much is the check?" And when they told me, I said, "Make it out to Melvin George."
Oh my God!
I said, genius. Melvin George II to be exact. And so we had a beef about that, and that was the first time we worked that out. But then when it happened again, I was like, no more.
Nice.
And then I didn't have an agent or a manager for a while. I was just doing it myself. And now the person I'm with now came up to me and said, "Listen, let me see your calendar." I had one. So I showed him my calendar. He goes, "Listen, I can fill in all these dates for you." I said, "Yeah, well, at what percentage?" He goes, "Like to 10%. I said, "For how long?" He says, "Listen, let's just work together. If we like each other, then we'll sign. If we don't like each other, we'll go our separate ways." We've been together ever since.
Oh, that's great.
Wow.
Man. That's really nice. And you got to hang around after the show real quick backstage, because I bet you any amount of money I know who your manager was, because I think he was also mine.
Oh, okay.
Is he still working? Because if he's still working, then when I was, because it's an eerily similar situation I had with when I had my first manager.
Oh, okay.
Something tells me there may be a manager or two out there.
Oh, there's more than well,
there's more than two, that's for sure.
There's more than two, but here's the thing: it's a very small East Coast manager. Community. There's like 4 Guidos that supposedly run comedy on the East Coast. You know what I mean? So there's not like we have a lot to choose from. And I can say Guido because I belong to that. Of Italian class. It was cool. You had mentioned opening for the Four Tops, and before that you were talking about kind of learning different energies and different rooms and stuff like that, because you'd open for Patti LaBelle too, right?
Yeah, Patti LaBelle, Smokey Robinson.
Yeah, Smokey Robinson. So you started out obviously club comic, working in the comedy clubs and stuff like that. Did you, when you started opening for Smokey Robinson and Patti LaBelle, how much did your set change in between club comic and performing and opening for those guys?
Good question. I had the first time was a learning experience. I had to do 2 shows in one night.
Wow.
I was working with Kool. My first gig was with Kool and the Gang at the Westbury Music Fair, which is now it's had so many different changes. I don't know what they call it now.
Yeah, I don't know what they call it now either.
But in any case, it was there, and I went and did the show, and the owners at the time, I went to get paid, and the owners said, "Well, there's another show." I said, "Well, the guy that booked me didn't tell me there was another show." He goes, "How much is it for?" And he goes, "Well, I have you booked this show and the next show, plus 2 shows in Philadelphia for $75.
Wow.
And I looked at him and I started laughing and he started laughing. And then after a while, he's like, "What's so funny?" I was like, "You know, you're going to need somebody for the other two shows because, you know, I, that's not what I had one understanding. I had one understanding. The guy told me I was getting like $75 for a show. And when they threw more shows on, I thought I was going to get an additional $75.
Yeah,
no,
absolutely.
He sold me $75 for everything. So after we negotiated, I started feeling kind of guilty because now the pressure's on me to really be good because I got the money that I wanted.
Yeah.
Now I had to show up.
Right. Horrible.
So, the first show went great. The second show was kind of tedious. I didn't quite have my bearings on doing two shows at a theater in one night. Then I went to Philadelphia, and I learned that when you're in an arena, you can't do your club set.
Right.
Your club set involves talking to people, involves getting that energy and getting things ready for the next act. When you're in an arena, you have to bring the show.
Yeah.
And whoever wants to inject something in between what you're doing, you have to be ready to deal with it. But you can't, there's no where you're from. What do you do for a living in the theater?
Right.
Know?
Right.
Which I found out the hard way. Because every time I'd ask a question, they'd boo me. But when I did my act, they would applaud.
Wow.
Yeah. So once they applauded, I figured I had them. I go back into the audience again. Boo.
Yeah.
Boo.
You totally hit the nail on the head before, by the way, when you were saying how you know how often comedians have to fight for a gig, and then once they actually get it, now you're like, now I gotta be good, and this sucks.
Yeah,
because it's insane. Because how often does that happen, especially when you're younger?
That's what I love about having an agent, and especially the agent that I have now, because he's taken out all the drama. I just show up.
Yeah, that's the way it should be, man.
If there's a problem in any area between me and the club, I deflect to him, and he's more than happy to handle it because I have to keep a good relationship with the people I'm working for.
Tom and I were just having this fucking conversation because I was having a bit of a thing in DC, and I was like, I know way too much about what's going on behind the scene, and it's fucking me up.
Yeah,
because I just I don't want to. We shouldn't have to know that stuff.
You shouldn't have to be a part of a club's politics. You're not there to play politics. You're there to do a show, to bring people in, to show people a good time, make the club look good.
Absolutely.
Getting bogged down in the politics of whatever club you're in is always a weighty situation for anybody.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. I feel that 100%. So after you did those sets, though, you got your bearings pretty quickly. You're saying, like, with the opening between the club set and the whatever, you figured it out after those.
Yeah, pretty much. I had my club set, I had my theater set. Then the colleges showed up. I had to develop a college set.
Wow.
And I burnt out of colleges in one semester.
Well, that answers my next question. I was going to ask you, what was your favorite type to do? Do you prefer the club scene, or do you prefer theaters, larger venues, and opening for musical acts?
I prefer the scene where the situation is correct for the comic.
Ooh.
If you're in a club, there's lights, there's microphone, there's a stool. That's all you need.
Yeah.
If you're in a theater, there's lights, there's microphone, there's a stool. There's tech rehearsal, a sound check, how to come on stage, how to come off stage, and that's all you need.
Yeah.
When you're in a college, it's supposed to be that way. But it all depends on who hired who how professional is the hiring committee.
Yeah.
When I first started doing colleges, they put me in a theater at night, and it was like 1,000 students, and we had a great time.
Nice.
This was in February. This was in February after kids came back from winter break. By the time May came around, I was working in the student lounge in the middle of the day, standing on a milk crate with a microphone, holding the mic and telling jokes.
Right.
With the threat of, if you don't perform, you don't get paid.
Yep.
Yeah. So
brutal.
I told my agent, I don't want to go. I'm done. I'm done.
You know Jay Black, right?
Yeah.
So Jay, before I started doing colleges on my own, Jay took me out and had me open for him at a couple colleges. And the first one that he and I ever did, the first college that I ever did was this college, Lebanon Valley College, right?
Yes.
And they had a theater and they had a packed audience and all the students came out. It was fucking beautiful. Backstage area was nice. They had some food for everything was great. And we get back in the car and I was like, and we had a couple more dates that I was going, college gigs with him. And I was like, that was fucking awesome. And he's like, don't get used to that.
That's right.
And I was like, what is he talking about? And then like the next weekend we were in Connecticut and they had us in a hallway in between periods. So it was just like a couple students were in the hallway and then we just hear like, and like classes were letting out.
People are walking by while you're telling jokes.
Yeah, I'm like, are you here for the show? Are you here for the, and then I remember doing some on my own too. And I did Monmouth University. The first time I did Monmouth University was not in the theater. Second time I did it was in the theater. First time I did it, they put me in the cafeteria and they gave me a podium and not a mic stand and no stage. And I was just like, what's going on here? And they were like, that's where you're going to do your set, right? And I was just like, I guess. And I had to it looked like I was giving out lunch orders. I was like, B12, the pizza and a cookie. It was fucking brutal, man. But it's crazy.
I had a show at stores in Connecticut. And the first time I had been there, I had been there 3 times. The first time I was in the theater. The second time I was in the Rathskeller, the nightclub of Connecticut University. And the third time, I guess all the politics had changed. They had me in this theater, but it was in the middle of the day. They had not announced the show, so only like 7 people showed up. The place sat like 350. And I had forgot to bring my tie. So I took my belt off of my neck, my waist, and put it around my neck and went on stage to look presentable. I told the audience, I started doing my show and nobody's laughing. People are just staring at me. And so I break the fourth wall and I say, listen, I know it's just you and me in this big space, but I'm giving you everything I have. I mean, I even took my belt off of my waist and put it around my neck because I forgot my tie. And the whole audience went, I was like, no, really, it's a belt. Well, boom. It felt like somebody just lit a big bomb. Everything was just beautiful. People started laughing. We bonded. The 7 of us bonded from that moment right there.
Amazing.
We bonded so well that one guy was in a wheelchair. And one guy was in a wheelchair, and I asked him would you play anybody play any sports? I was getting ready to do my sports bit, and the guy goes, "I play sports." I said, "Really? What do you do?" He goes, "I bowl." And before I could stop myself, I said, "What's your handicap?" And as I'm stuttering to try to clean it up, everybody just breaks out. They must have laughed for a good 5 or 10 minutes.
Oh my God.
Because it was so innocent and so pure,
that is hilarious.
Like, you never know what you're going to get on a college show. All you can do is just be honest with the moment. Whatever you do, and that pretty much goes with everything. But once you're in the moment, be honest with it.
Yeah. Have you ever done Rowan University?
Rowan, where's that?
That is in New Jersey. But I think it's, what is it, like middle New Jersey?
Yeah, I was gonna say West.
I don't know why I'm asking 2 people who don't live in I live in New Jersey, and I'm like, where is that again? I don't know. I didn't go to college, so I don't know where they are. But I went to other colleges. But so I do Rowan University, and we're about to go on stage, and you're figuring out some of the student faculty is like telling you shit to say, and they go right before I go on. One of the kids goes, "Oh, if you want to really get a good laugh, mention Rape Road." And I was like, "Pardon?" And this is like 5 minutes before I'm about to go on. And I go, "What did you say? Did you say Rape Road?" And he goes, "Yeah. We have a road at Rowan called Rape Road. You should bring that up." And I was like, "The fuck I will." I'm like, "You're mine." And of course, you're as a comedian, it's somebody tells you something, it's cranking in my head. So we're having a good time or whatever. And all I did was go, I gotta ask you guys. Apparently you guys have like a rape alley, and they fucking and there one kid was like, "It's road," and I'm like, "I'm sorry, I got the name of the road that young people get raped. I'm sorry, I got it wrong." But it wound up being, it was the weirdest. But every college has like this little thing there that it was so weird. Yeah, but they actually do have one, and I was like, you would think somebody would put a sign up and maybe close the road, or
probably
something like that. But yeah, it is weird. Colleges are so weird, man.
Yeah. I burnt out. I burnt out, and when they did ask me back, I raised my price,
Nice.
and then everybody had an understanding.
Yes, absolutely. Is it what was your rapport like with like when you were opening for Smokey Robinson, Pally Bell, those guys? Did you have a good relationship with them? Did you try to kind of, because I know some people are shy around other performers and they don't, but you seem friendly enough, like, to me, that you would kind of approach them and talk to them.
I tried to approach everybody I worked with, and most of them were rather receptive. Patti LaBelle and I got along just fine.
Nice.
Aretha Franklin and I got along just fine. Smokey Robinson, Gladys Knight, we all got along just fine. There's only a couple of people who I can say I wish we were on better terms.
Okay.
But it like I said, it's an energy thing. Sometimes the energy clicks and sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't, all you can do is just say, "Well, I did my best."
Yeah, absolutely. Did
Smokey
you find
Robinson had me? He had me. I went to thank him for having me on the show, and he's the type of guy who, at the end of his show, he'll stay in his dressing room, and he'll greet everybody that wants to see him, because these are the people who made him. So he's going to stay there and greet each and every one of them. Well, I just wanted to thank him for having me on the show. So I cut the line. I'm the opening act. Excuse the opening act. I cut the line and I walked up to him and said, "Listen, Mr. Robinson." "No, call me Smokey. Call me Smokey." "Smokey, I just wanted to thank you for having me on the show. I'm your opening act." He goes, "Oh, you're the opening act. Oh, you were great. Listen, stand and help me greet these people." I stood there for an hour and a half.
Wow.
Well, they came to talk to him, and he goes, "This is my opening act. Wasn't he great?" He goes, "Yeah, he was." And he signed the autograph. I signed the autograph. And
God.
Now this is the thing. I had another show at Eastside after that show, which started at 10:30. Which started at I think it was 10:30 or 11 o'clock. I didn't get out of that theater until 11:15. Because I was backstage with Smokey Robinson, and not only were the club owners pissed that I was late, but all the staff, the union staff, they weren't pissed, because when they work overtime, they get paid for it.
Right.
So Smokey's deal was, "I'm going to stay here and greet all these people because they made me who I am, and if it costs me extra, it just costs me extra. And won't you stay here with me, Melvin?"
That's great.
Yeah,
that's the best excuse to miss an East Side Comedy Club show ever.
Yeah,
hanging out with Smokey Robinson. That's not bad.
Man, I lived in Rockville Center, and East Side Comedy. Richie Bini used to always get so upset with me because I would show up just in time to go on. With me, it was a timing thing. If he told me I was going on at 8:30, I knew, or 9 o'clock, I would show up at 8:59. and walk in the club while he's going, "Is Melvin here?" And I would just walk on stage, you know.
That's great.
It got to the point where I had a mixtape of James Bond music. I'm really into James Bond.
Nice.
I had a mixtape of James Bond music where just the theme song lasted for the 20 minutes it took me to get from my house to East Side.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I get in the car and I start up the car. I pop in the tape. I go up Peninsula. I hit the Sunrise Highway. Not Sunrise, but Southern State Parkway. Southern State Parkway to Route 110. I get off of Route 110. I'm navigating through the traffic. And then as I pull up to East Side, it goes and I'm at the club and I get out and I hear, "Is Melvin here?"
Oh my God, that's amazing, man. If that's not the opening of your next special, just you driving, listening to that music. Oh, that's amazing.
Oh yeah. As a matter of fact, one time, Richie, I was maybe 2 or 3 minutes late because of traffic.
Right.
And when I got there, Richie had called my name already. And by the time I let him know I was here, he had done like the first 5 minutes of my act.
That's great.
He said, "Is Melvin here?" "Oh, he's not." "Oh, you would love Melvin. He comes on stage. He pulls out a glass. He pulls out a cigarette. He's the funniest guy. Oh, I wish he was here. Did he tell you about his wife? Oh, wait till he tell you about his wife."
Oh my God. Oh, that's hilarious. I love to see that's what you guys all loved each other though. You could fuck around like that.
Oh yeah. Oh
that's
yeah,
amazing.
Man. One time he would throw a Christmas party. He would throw a Christmas party, and they had this huge polar bear in the bar. It was a paper mache polar bear on a stand in the bar, and it was during my drinking days, and I said to the bartender, "How much will you give me if I ride the polar bear?" And he says, he said, "I'll give you 2 martinis. I can't give you any money, but I'll give you 2 vodka martinis." I said, "Dirty vodka martinis?" He goes, "Yeah, okay, I'll make them dirty." So I said, "Okay, make the drink." He made the drinks. I looked around. Nobody was in the bar. So I got up on the polar bear and I started riding it like it's a bucking bronco. You know, like wee wee.
Right.
I get off and the bartender's laughing. He's laughing hysterically. And I said, "What's so funny?" He shows me the only thing holding the polar bear up is one nail, and everything else was balanced. How I didn't fall, he had no idea, but he was waiting for me to fall.
Wow.
When I looked at the polar bear, it had a big groove in his back. You know, from me riding the bear, and I tried to straighten it up, but then Richie came in, and I didn't want to be a part of it. I didn't want him to know I was associated with it. Right. So I just went into the club, and next thing I hear this loud voice, "What the hell happened to the bear?"
Oh my God! Did he ever find out?
Yes, I think a couple of years later they told him.
Oh, that's hilarious, man!
So
oh my God, that fucking got me. I did not expect you to say there was a polar bear that you rode. Holy shit! How did the not cool things? Because that couldn't have been something you had started with when you were younger. And it's also, by the way, one of the best like reverse psychology things at comic, because you are cool. Like,
do you know what's funny? I was gonna say, did that start because you opened for Kool and the Gang, and they were like, "Are you not cool?"
That was back in 1970, 78, 79, somewhere around there. I was at the Improv, and I was emceeing the show, and Bud and Silver had split up. So Bud went to the West Coast and Silver was on the East Coast. And after auditioning for her, she let me MC the room. So the MC at the time, you had to bring, the stage was bare. You had to bring the mic stand, you had to bring the stool, you had to bring your drink.
Jesus.
So when the show started, please welcome Melvin George, I had all this stuff to carry, and plus I had my cigarettes. I used to smoke cigarettes back then. So I put the drink in my pocket, and the ashtray in my pocket, and the cigarette in my cigarette case, and I grabbed the mic stand and the stool and went on stage. And the moment I got on stage, people started heckling me. The moment I got there, hadn't even said hello, they just started shouting stuff at me. I guess it was the energy I was giving off, like this guy's easy. So I tried to banter with them, and that didn't work. And I remembered, I totally forgot I had stuff in my pocket. And I said to the guy who said something to me, I said, the only reason why you're saying that to me right now is because you probably think I'm not cool. And then I pulled the glass out and said, I'm not. And I drank from the glass. From that moment on, I had them. They didn't know what to expect. They thought I don't know what they were thinking, but they respected me.
Yeah, man. That was great, dude.
But it was all spontaneous, but the kicker was to do it again. I mean, when I tried it the first time and it worked perfectly because I didn't plan it. When I planned to make it work, it looked staged, it looked rehearsed,
right.
And it took me a good like 6 or 7 years to build something around that.
Yeah.
To get it to work. But it was genius. In the beginning, it was purely accidental.
Wow, I love that, man. I'm glad it was accidental because that's like that.
I have a lot of accidental jokes. I was in Pottsville, Pennsylvania. And I had forgotten my my cufflinks for my shirt. I was doing a show. I think the booker's name was Karen Rose. She had a bunch of one-nighters between New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and you loop around upstate New York and come back to New York. It's like 2 weeks on the road. So the first or second stop, I think the second stop was Pottsville, Pennsylvania. And there's the club is in a hotel, but the club is across the street from the hotel. There's a parking lot in between the club and the hotel. So I get there, I realize I don't have my cufflinks. So I take the luggage locks off my luggage and put them around my cuffs to keep my shirt closed.
Okay.
So I go on stage, nobody's laughing, people are drinking and stuff. And I break down the fourth wall again and tell them, listen, I'm trying to do my best for you people. I wanted to look presentable. So I took the luggage locks off my luggage and put on my cuffs so I could have some cufflinks. And then I showed them. Well, that just turned the whole show around. Everybody was my friend. Everybody laughed and stuff.
Nice.
At the end of the show, they started buying me drinks. Everybody wanted to buy me a drink. I was everybody's pal. I must have had like 7 or 8, what was I drinking back then? Grand Marnier and cognac.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I must have had 7 or 8 of them. And I went back to I walked across the parking lot to the hotel. I remember doing that. I remember taking the key out and putting it in the door. Back then they had keys, not cards. Yeah. And then I tried to put the key, the hotel door key was big and I could handle it, but the luggage lock key was really small. And I tried to put it in there as drunk as I was. I tried to put it in the lock and I couldn't. I kept missing the coupling. So I figured I'd just take the shirt off over my head, and my cuffs were too big my wrist was too big to pull the cuffs over. So the shirt got stuck and I passed out.
Oh my God.
I woke up locked in my own shirt.
Yeah, it's like a shirt handcuff.
Oh my God. That is hilarious, man.
And so it was purely accidental as I found a way to put it in the act. I was in Detroit one time.
Nice.
And this guy says, have you ever been to Detroit before? I said, yes. As a matter of fact, I was here in 1966. Last time I was here, somebody broke into my car and stole my luggage. So I couldn't wait to come back so I could see what everybody's wearing. And when I said that, he busted out laughing. He laughed so hard, he couldn't finish doing the interview. He just said, go see Melvin George. I was at Chaplin's or one of those clubs.
Yeah.
And then, so when I went on stage, it's like the audience was waiting for me to say that line because they weren't laughing. They didn't laugh at the lit cigarette. They didn't laugh at the ashtray. They didn't laugh at me pulling the glass out. But when I said it's good to be back in Detroit, last time I was here, somebody broke into my car and stole my luggage, and I just came back to see what everybody's wearing. Boom! Everybody broke into applause. They were waiting for that line. You know?
That's a great fucking joke.
Well, the thing is, over the years, I lost the energy on that line. Over the years, the spontaneity and the energy fell off, and it got to the point where I would do the line, and you would hear crickets. You know, so
I know what you mean. That's one of those mysteries of comedy, though, too, where like something you love, a joke you love that you know lands every time, suddenly just dissipates. It like evaporates into the air, and you're like, I don't know where the.
And you know why that happens?
Why?
You know why that happens? Because you're not honest with the moment.
True.
Anytime you do a joke, and the joke the joke normally works, but this one particular time it doesn't work. It's because when you approach that joke, you approached it from a space that wasn't honest with that moment. Wow. And it just sucked all the energy out of that joke. You
by the way, I think, I don't know if you know this, but you have a lot of great nuggets of wisdom that other, like I'm friends with Joe Starr. He's told me stuff that you've said, passed down stuff that you've said to him, passed it down to me. I think about that kind of thing all the time. And you told me something recently, because I love the Watchmen buttons that you have on your jacket.
Oh, yeah.
And you told, and I never knew this about what was the significance of those buttons. But one is Rorschach, and the other is the Hazard button, right?
Yeah.
And you wear those every time you're on. Yeah, and you wear those every time you're on stage, right?
Yeah, every time I'm on stage, I wear these.
I love that, man. That's such a cool jacket too. That is the best jacket ever. But tell me, yeah.
First of all, you have no idea how many plastic cows had to die so I could look this good. But okay, this is the Rorschach ink blot test.
Yeah,
and this is the hazard symbol.
Yeah,
I wear these. I started wearing these. I would wear one or the other for the longest time, but then I think it was 2000 when Joan Rivers and Robin Williams passed away.
Right.
I started wearing these buttons in honor of them. Joan Rivers is the hazard symbol because when I was walking down the boardwalk in Atlantic City, and I bumped into her, and I started talking to her, and she was just the nicest person. She was going to send some representatives by to see the show. She wasn't going to see the show, but she sent some people down. Who's the club owner? When I mentioned the club owner, she just tore into him like she was she did not like this guy. I've never seen. She cursed so much about this guy. She made my ancestors feel uncomfortable. And so when she passed away, you know, comedians often say things that are offensive. And they often say things that they get on your nerves, but they're not too far from the truth.
Right.
So I started wearing this for Joan Rivers. And then when Robin Williams passed away, I had met him outside Igby's in L.A. And as I'm leaving the club, I noticed him. I said, "Oh, listen, Robin Williams, listen, Melvin George. I'm a big fan. I'm a comic. And are you going on tonight?" He goes, "Oh, yeah. What's that button? I said, "Oh, this is a Rorschach ink blot test." And when I said that, he started ripping on all the things that he saw.
Wow.
And I said, I said, "Well, that's what you see, but when I see this, I see my family crest." And he busted out laughing. Then he went on stage and did the joke in his own way, you know, about Rorschach. And the kicker is Don Gavin gave me that line that the Rorschach being a family crest. So I gave it to Robert Williams, and Robert Williams went on stage with it. Then they both passed away within like 3 weeks of each other. First Robin Williams and then Joan Rivers. And I started wearing these, and then we started losing. We just started with Patrice O'Neill, Vince D'Antona, Rich Ramirez, Hal Spears, John Weiss, Ron Ramey.
Yeah.
David Brenner, John Panette, Otto Peterson, Rich Seisler, Robin Williams, Joan Rivers, Gary Shandling, Jerry Diner, Gene Wilder, Kevin Meaney, Max Alexander, Adrian Tosh, Uncle Dirty, Don Rickles, Charlie Murphy, Dick Gregory, Jerry Lewis, Chris Rush, William Stevenson, Brody Stevens, Eustace Lord, Tim O'Rourke, Mike Reynolds, Howard Lapidus, Jeff Parami, Pete Michaels, Vic Henley, and to lose Norm Macdonald, the amazing Jonathan, Bob Saget, Louis Anderson, and Gilbert Godfrey.
Yeah. And that I one impressive that you just did that.
I wear for them.
That's beautiful, man. I think what you just did now, we can actually count this as an in memoriam special. What we just we've never had. I've never had anybody listen, but that was really nice. I'm like, if we can get somebody to put some music in the background, doing that. This is our first Dystopia Tonight ode to comedy. Yeah, I mean, it is crazy though. We do lose a lot of comedians rather quickly and sometimes unexpectedly.
Yeah. The energy any good comic puts out there lasts an individual for a lifetime. You know, they may see a comic one time and then they'll never see him again, but they'll always remember how good they felt watching him for that moment.
Absolutely.
Well, this is what we do, and I am very blessed to be a part of that energy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I ran the list of names because every time I go on stage, I carry them with me.
Beautiful, man.
And they protect me.
Yeah. You got some comedy spirits around you. I love that.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. Yeah. It is nice, man, because you do kind of. I never know what side I'm facing, but I've got my Robin Williams pin right there. You can't really see it, but I'll blow it up on the screen. He's one of my favorite, man. He was always. I love that you got to meet him and talk to him and stuff, man. He was Richard Jeni and Robin Williams Richard Jeni was the first celebrity kind of, comedian that passed away that I actually felt genuine loss for. Other celebrities have passed away and I was like, but Richard Jeni was like, I think he was the first comedian that my parents let me watch, when I was younger. Wow. And I love because we had a VHS of one of his first specials, Crazy from the Heat.
Mm-hmm,
and he had a whole bit about school, and it was, my mom was like, this is you in the morning, by the way, so you should just watch. and you know the bit when he's basically, it's him and his mother yelling back and forth, Richard, get up, and he's still lying down in bed. Killed me when I was a kid. I didn't know you could be that funny, right? And then I think I saw him we love Jaws. I love the movie Jaws, and then he had that bit about Jaws in the Tonight Show. So loved him. My whole family loved him. And then he passed. And then he killed himself. And that was like devastating to me, right? And then same thing when Robin passed away, man. And that was another hard hit because I loved him forever before I even knew what stand-up was.
Yeah. Some people are with you for a reason. Some people are with you for a season.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. What was who did you have somebody in particular when you were younger? Because did you always want to be a comedian when you were a kid, or what was
when I was a kid, I used to have dreams of being a stand-up comic. I used to see myself as an adult holding a cigarette, and there was a spotlight shining down on me, and I'm on stage in front of these people telling jokes. A couple of times I would wake up laughing because I would from what I said in the joke, it would be funny in the dream. I could never remember what I said, but I always woke up, And then I saw Bill Cosby on the Tonight Show. Then I saw Richard Pryor on Merv Griffin, and then I saw Scully Mitchell on Ed Sullivan's show, and I kind of knew that there was a way for me to do comedy, but I didn't know exactly how to get started.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew I was going to be a comedian. I just didn't know that when God came to me and said, "You're going to be a comic," He also said that to 237,000 other people.
Oh my God, that's great. Yeah, it's true, man. Did you have a trajectory, because you were an improv guy, you were Catch a Rising Star when you started, and then even before that you said Pips and the other places. But did you have like did you want to go out to LA? Did you want to go to you know what I mean? Like, did you have a plan when you started?
No, see, that's what was missing. I just knew I didn't have a plan. I just knew what I had to do.
Okay.
It was pretty much I have to do this. I don't know why I had to do it, but I have to do it.
Right.
I wanted to go to LA. I wanted to be in the movies. I wanted my aspirations were to be a big star, but I didn't have a plan for that. Right. I just had to do what I'm doing, and one thing led to another, and to the point of this is where I am today. And when I look back on the journey, I didn't miss a step. I did everything I was supposed to do. When I went to LA, it didn't work for me.
Okay.
I went there at a time when I was there when Rodney King got beat. I left when Rodney King got beat up.
Wow.
I had established a network on the East Coast. And then when I went to the West Coast to try to establish another network, all I got a lot of resistance. And I didn't have the fortitude or a plan to overcome it. So I went back to where I was comfortable. And it's every time I've walked away from comedy, something's always gotten me back into it.
Nice. That's a good sign.
Yeah. And anytime something negative happens in comedy, something positive always outweighs it.
Nice.
The first time I opened for Smokey, I was on my way to Canada, and I had a DUI in 1990 or something, and this is now 1992. And I'm on my way to Canada. And they had already told me, listen, you can't come here unless you take the Canadian rehabilitation. And I said, how much is that? It was $350. I says, well, I don't have the time or the money. I had the money, but
Yeah.
I said, I don't have the time or the money. Let me just come in and do a show. He goes, okay, you can come in, but the next time you got to take Canadian rehabilitation. Well, the first time I had to pay $200 to get in. The second time I had to pay $500 to get in. The third time they wouldn't let me in. Wow. They dragged me off the train. I was on my way to Toronto on the train, and they looked at my passport and said, "Sir, you have to come with me." And it was Thursday night. The show was Friday, and they would not let me come in to perform. I was devastated. I was so broken. Yeah. I thought that was the end of everything. But when I got back home, that afternoon, I wouldn't have been there had I been in Canada. When I got back that afternoon, I got a call to open for Smokey Robinson.
Wow, man. That's great. That's kismet.
Yeah. So drinking's a good thing.
Oh my! I can't believe you got dragged off a train in Canada. They're notoriously nice people.
No, I've seen that happen a couple times.
Oh my! I didn't know.
We went up. If you have a DWI
was it Mounties?
now, you don't get it.
It was. They didn't have horses, if that's what you mean. They didn't ride them on the train. Go, come with me.
Literally thinking of what's that Hanna-Barbera cartoon? There's no need to fear. That guy.
Dudley Do-Right.
Dudley Do-Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's great.
Yes, they do.
What was your? So I mean, we were all like, we got to do a huge charity event during lockdown during COVID for cancer that Tom organized with Children's Brain Tumor Foundation and Star Treatments and stuff. So that we got to hang out a bunch on there because you were popping on a lot and you were watching from behind the scenes and I loved it. And then you and I got to talk a bit. What else were you okay creatively? Were you doing all right during COVID and lockdown and stuff like that? How'd you keep yourself like busy?
Well, there's how can I put this? I have plans, but I usually reserve my plans for, I put my plans on the back burner for what God has intended for me. I mean, you want to make God laugh, make plans, So And I've never gone anywhere that I didn't feel that I was supposed to be. If I wanted to go somewhere and I couldn't get there, it's because God didn't want me there. That's the way I felt in my heart.
Nice.
So when COVID hit and I couldn't perform, I thought everything was over, but I literally left it in God's hands and just said, like, you know, I'm not doing that. What do you want me to do? Well, and it turns out that my wife has a bakery. Mm. And in 2009, during the mortgage crisis, she was baking away. She just said, I'm going to bake our way out of foreclosure. Wow. And somebody did a story on her trying to bake her way out of foreclosure. And her story went nationwide, and she sold 900 cakes in one weekend.
Amazing.
Well, she partnered with the cake distributor, and everybody who ordered a cake got a cake. When that partnership ended, she started doing farmers markets and street festivals to keep the business going. Mm-hmm. In 2014, they made a movie about her. The movie is called Apple Mortgage Cakes. It's available now on Amazon Prime. And in 2015, she opened up her first mortgage apple cake bakery and cafe in Teaneck, New Jersey. Nice. And the only thing greater than the story is the taste of the cake. That's why we're still in business. And I say we because I cut apples. That's what I was doing during COVID, cutting apples. I hated it. I love my wife. I love the blessing that we have. I love being responsible for the blessing. But every time she goes, I need apples.
I love that everything you've been through, your PTSD is apple cutting during COVID. So decades of being a comic, and you're like, don't mention apples.
yeah. And then I have the nerve to correct somebody. Hey, how those mortgage apples pies? It's cakes. You know?
Don't let him fool you, John. I've seen the movie. The movie is his love story. So if you get a chance to catch it, it is a great movie. And it's really him and his wife's love story with the sidebar of baking those cakes out of and working your way out of that mortgage crisis. Sweet. It was an incredible movie.
Yeah.
Sure.
And during COVID, because people couldn't go out in public, our online presence blew up. Oh, we went from shipping maybe 40 cakes a week to 200 cakes a week. Mm-hmm. And which means someone had to cut all those apples.
Yeah.
And they couldn't be away doing comedy and come back to cut apples. So everything happens for a reason.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
And the other thing during the telethon 93 hour thing, I found out that you're also just a super strong comic book nerd, which made me super happy. You had the greatest take on the Fantastic Four, which I believe I have that clip somewhere. I'm going to find it and actually post it. But I got to get into what was you got into comic books when you were younger too, right? Like that was your.
Oh yeah. The comic books used to be 10 cents. They were 10 cents. And then they went up to 25, and I had to do extra chores around the house to get the extra 15 cents.
I love that.
And I would have all the first editions I had. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I would buy two. Mm-hmm. I would buy two. The first edition, I would buy two, one to save and one to rip the cover off and stick it on my wall. And I had all these walls of first editions, first Spider-Man, first Captain America, first Fantastic Four. Wow. I was really into it. And then my mom asked me to clean my room, and I disobeyed her. And as punishment, she threw all my comic books out.
Oh my God. Moms, man. What if there was a superhero that you could be, who would you want to be?
Gee, that's a tough one. You know, I'd how intelligent could I be?
As whatever you want to be. Any comic book hero.
I'd like to be Iron Man.
Nice.
Okay.
I'd like to be Iron Man.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Let me see if you agree with this. I have for years told Joe Starr that he is Ben Grimm. The Thing, right? The voice, the attitude, Yancey Street, talking.
The only thing missing is the orange rocks.
That's That's what I'm saying, man. I'm telling you, I want him to voice the Thing so bad.
Yeah, he's Ben Grimm before the cosmic rays.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It would be so great. Every time I come across like a good Ben Grimm Spider, I'm a big Spider-Man guy. I always send like a screenshot to Joel. I'm like, tell me this isn't you. Hilarious.
Yeah.
So funny.
I had a friend. I had a friend who, when they were first making the Marvel superheroes into cartoons, they would make these gels, these acetate gels, and they would draw the figure on the gel in one position, then they have to draw it again in another position, and then when they ran through the gels, it would look like motion.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he gave me a gel of Iron Man, Spider-Man, the Human Torch, Captain America.
Oh my God.
I had just about maybe 20 gels. Because at the time that technology was old and they were moving into a new technology, and he didn't want them anymore. So I took them, and somewhere between, I passed them down to my son, and he still has them to this day.
That's beautiful. That's great, man. Those are probably worth like a fortune now.
I hope so. So.
Some of that stuff, I find, you know what? It's very weird because I just automatically knee-jerk response said they're probably worth a fortune, but I feel like they're worth so much more because they're passed down individual. You know what I mean? Like, unless it's gonna like really change your life or like help something, I would most likely hold on to that stuff just because the meaning.
Yeah, most definitely. It's there's something in tradition. Martin Luther King said it best: longevity has its place.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Dude, you know what? I want to bring up, Tom's got the photo. I want to talk to you because you said, talking about an identity crisis. I do have photos of me when I first started. I got to show you this photo real quick.
Yes.
Button down shirt.
Yes.
Clean shaven. Short hair.
Yes.
Yeah, man. That dork.
Hey, that dog had purpose. He had purpose.
He did. Right. He did. I want to thank you so much for coming on, man, because I love talking to you. You're one of my favorite people. You're one of my favorite comedians. And it's been a blast, man. And I got to ask you the 3 questions that we ask every guest. So are you ready?
Oh, wait, let me take my jacket off.
I love it. All right. Here we go.
I'm ready.
All right. If you could go back in time and talk to your younger self at any age, what would you tell yourself that would help you today?
To trust yourself.
Nice.
I would tell my younger self to believe in myself just a little bit more than not to be afraid of what I didn't know, but to trust and believe in what I didn't see and not put so much faith in what was there in front of me.
Nice, man. I love that. Second question is, what had to end in your life, good or bad, that led you to where you are today?
I think my marriage. My marriage to my first wife had to end so I could be where I am today.
Nice.
Don't get me wrong. I loved her immensely. But in order to grow, we had to let things go.
Beautifully well said, man. And that's not easy to do. I mean, it's
no. I went kicking and screaming. Believe me.
It is so crazy, man. It's like when you think about past relationships, whether you're, married or locked, you're locked in emotionally, no matter what it is. Like, I know there's like marriage has everything else, but when you, for some reason, letting go is hard as shit to do. It's wild, even when you know it's good for you.
I heard that was the original lyrics to that song, John.
Let it be. Yeah, there's. I like to pick up the pieces of other people's lost art and put it together in my own. I'm like, oh, you didn't think that was good enough to use? I'll use it. And the last question is my favorite question. It ties in with the theme of the show. We've since tried to rework it because some of our guests are actually on the way out. But if this was a genuine dystopia and you and everyone else had their last day on this planet, what would be your ideal way to go out? Would it be aliens, zombies, a comet? What would you be doing? What would you doing on your last day?
I would be putting out as much love as possible. I would be to strangers, to situations, whatever it would take. If I knew that it was all over with, first thing I'd be checking is who had love in their heart and who did not. And the people that did not, I would try to give them that love to bring them some peace before they transitioned.
That is the sweetest. You were the Care Bear stare of people. That is the sweetest thing. I love it, man. I absolutely love it.
The way the world is going right now, I can't impress upon you how important it is just to have pure, genuine love in your heart. Not for your family or for yourself, but for your fellow man. You know, to be able to greet somebody with kindness and not malice. Forget your political opinion. When politics is taken out of the equation, you're still a human being, and you have to treat each other as human beings. So, and that starts with love, and that's for the last 20 years. That's what I've been about.
Beautiful.
That's great.
Love it, dude. I love you, man. I'm so glad you got to spend time with us and hang out on the show. And you're welcome back anytime you want. I hope you come back.
Yeah, I got a ton of questions for the next time. Star Search, we missed.
I know we missed a lot of. It really is. We need a round two.
We'll have to come back. I got to tell you about Star Search.
Absolutely. You know what I love about the Star Search thing is I always think of Felicia Michaels when she was like, "Men will not shut up about Star Search." It's so great. I have to, but we want to hear about it. We love Star Search.
Hey, you know, I was watching your show. I was watching the previous shows, and all the people that were on there are quite remarkable. And then when you asked me to be on the show, I was like, why? Why me?
No, dude, you belong. You belong here more than anybody does, man. You're literally. I'm sorry it took me this long to get you on, man. You're one of my favorite people ever.
Hey, man, it's a blessing to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely,
having me. If you watch the Dry Bar Comedy Special, I just got to tell you this. When I'm selling the show, before during the rehearsals, I had my staple gun.
Mm-hmm.
And during the taping, I left my staple gun in the hotel, and they gave me a staple gun. So the staple gun that they gave me barely fit in my pocket. So when I went to pull it out, it got stuck on the lining. Then when I dropped it on the ground and tried to pick it up with my magnet, it was too heavy for the magnet to pick up. And you see me playing with it. I'll get it. So I had to pick it up. And that's a perfect example of being honest with the moment.
Yeah. That is fucking hilarious. I was wondering what the hell was going on there, and I was like, "Oh, it's new." Hilarious, man. Hilarious. That was so good.
With the moment, guys. Thanks for having me. You guys are a blast. Thanks for being there. And
thank you.
I'm so glad I updated my equipment.
Yeah, me too, man.
I love it.
Beautiful. You look crisp. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. HD, baby.
Oh my God. All right, man. I'll catch you later, dude.
Definitely. Thanks.
Right. Good seeing you.
Dystopia Tonight.